All right, so a quick unplanned update for those that may be searching and somewhat curious. There are numerous videos out there likely covering the topic, mostly improperly. So I figured I'd go ahead and share my thoughts, even though I purposely have said and maintain that the project in question it's not going to thrive unless they get rid of the leadership. And I got attacked for that, and that's okay because the events of yesterday and today have kind of validated what I was saying. SaitaRealty, of course, part of the Saitama ecosystem, was scheduled to go live, and it did actually go live. It didn't go live on time, but it did actually go live. However, apparently, and you're going to hear me use a lot of covering verbiage because this is a developing situation with a lot of interesting messages on social media, but apparently one guy, and this is what I'm seeing, one guy figured out a way to purchase a crap ton of the tokens at a steep discount. We're talking like 10% of the actual price. And so when he figured this out, he went ahead and just, as anybody would do, just went for the field. And this bypassed the alleged limit of 5 trillion tokens that was imposed, or at least supposed to be imposed. That seems to indicate that the limit possibly was imposed by the interface, not imposed at the contract level, because of the fact he was able to do this. There were a lot of people who were pissed off, rightfully so, but they were also upset at the TARP, totally a rug pull group, for not catching it. The thing is, they did call that out as a risk. They called it out two ways. One, they said it's the contract that ultimately allowed things to happen. The contract wasn't coded correctly to disallow. That tells me it probably was something they did in the interface instead of in the actual contract. And they probably did that so that they could allow certain people to bypass that limit by design. Because that's the only way, like, we know that the developers are somewhat incompetent, but you'd have to be kind of an idiot. The way that TARP explained, the one single variable that was set wrong, you'd have to be a blistering idiot to have done that. And we know that some of them are blistering idiots, but it seems so petty. It seems so weird that they would miss that. And the former auditor in me speculates that that was actually not an oversight. It was actually done by design to allow them to enable certain people to exceed the limit. And my theory is that they assumed everybody would go to the Saitama interface, and as such, the interface would prevent you from purchasing over the limit. That it was not enforced in the contract because they tried to enforce it in the interface. That's my theory, because again, I struggle to believe that they're that stupid. Now, maybe I'm just naive. So this guy apparently goes back in, figures out a way to do it, and we see that he's using Tornado Cash to flush the funds, and there's like over $1 million in liquidity that this person has taken according to the screenshots. It is brought to attention by PeckShield. PeckShield is a very reputable organization that does analysis on the blockchain for things that don't look right. So they'll tell you that this one looks like it just rug pulled, or this one's erratic and it looks like it might be at risk, or something else. It'll tell you these things. And in some cases it's automated, and in some cases there's a human. In this case, it had to be a human because they brought to attention to Saitama directly on social media. You probably want to take a look at this where we're seeing these massive dumps. And then it's traced back to that person, and the person responds and said, it was easy work. I saw that I could buy it for 10% of the price, and that's crazy to me. But I could buy it 10% of the price, and then Now, the TARP video called out that apparently, and this may be the root of the problem, but apparently, with the way that Saitama was trying to do this and creating the liquidity pair, and I won't get into deets on that, but creating the liquidity pair, they may have overlooked the need to create a liquidity pair to own it at the Uniswap level. So at V2 specifically, but they called out V3. If that's the case, I had sent out a message on social media and I said, somebody's getting enriched off this. And I don't know if it's a copycat or I don't know, but I'm surprised to see this traffic, basically, because without liquidity, I shouldn't see that much traffic, but I was seeing a lot of traffic, and a bunch of people kind of naysayed it and said it's not a big deal. No problem. I don't know that it is. I'm not inside. But that appears to be the exact same contract that I identified and shared to say, hey, something's weird here. There's this same dude. Just that they didn't catch on until later after PeckShield called it out. So they're going to be doing an AMA in about 2 hours and 15 minutes from when I record this, presumably to say that a hacker got in and took this or that there's no liquidity. TARP didn't see that the liquidity got yanked, but we saw screens that showed the liquidity indeed got pulled. And so if there's weirdness with the price, that's likely what happened. I've said on numerous occasions, I don't feel that the Saitama ecosystem can succeed with the current leadership. This is why. Because they lack project management and they lack product management. Because chances are in this situation, they assumed that people could only purchase through the Saitama interface, SaitaMask, and couldn't purchase outside. But if TARP's correct and they didn't lock in that first liquidity pool in Uniswap, it might have still allowed them to purchase those tokens because you can get access to the tokens via that pool. So if they're correct, that's huge because that means, yeah, he would have been able to buy those at dirt cheap. It'd be like if you were about to launch a token and you bought 99% of the inventory, I'm making up a number, but 99% of the inventory at the lowest price possible. That's the analogy to what's happened here, according to the screens I'm seeing. So anybody that was not able to get in and wasn't able to purchase starts to make sense because if this guy had taken the liquidity out while this is happening, that would make sense why you're getting errors. My concern number one would be, first of all, this whole error in the number and the variable that TARP called out. I don't think that that was gross negligence. It may have been intentional, that they may have wanted certain people to be able to exceed that limit, because I struggle with why they would have overseen that, why they would overlook that. Number two, the interface not telling people I'm having a liquidity issue, that's why I'm bombing out. Number three, that the interface is not checking for said liquidity before processing somebody's ETH. Maybe they can't do that because of the way they got it coded. I said this blacklisting is a waste of time because it's whack-a-mole. You're never going to be able to get every single address. It's going to be way too difficult and a waste of time. And he's already shuffled the money. He used Tornado Cash, which means you're not going to get it back. So I said, if you want this fair, you should relaunch it. And certain people like it and certain people don't. The people that don't like it are the ones that got big bags and they don't want to lose the big bags. But if we're going to say it's a fair launch, I say you relaunch. And I say that having no SaitaRealty of my own and no plans to buy SaitaRealty. I'm saying if you want it to be a fair launch, you should relaunch it and just start over. That makes those tokens worthless. The money's gone. It is what it is. And then do it right this time. Maybe they should reach out to TARP. Maybe they should reach out to Teddy Ganja. Maybe they should reach out to various people and have them do reviews of the back end to try to prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future. Because it sounds like they didn't do their due diligence when launching it, which is interesting because Lily had a very similar situation. I find that strikingly shocking. And the one shiller, who I won't name, was involved in both projects. Coincidence? I can't say. But that's SaitaRealty. It's not looking good. Again, if you want to be on the AMA and you're into the ecosystem, you need to go to Russ's account on social media. I will not be there because, again, I'm not in SaitaRealty and don't plan to be. But you need to go to Russ's account on social media. He's going to set up his spaces and he's going to deflect and make some excuses on what they're going to do next. And that's happening in 2 hours and 11 minutes from when I record this.